In this video, we're going to look at a classic Candace Owens clip from when she was on the Roommates podcast with Hafiz. She was in beast mode this day and absolutely dismantled modern feminism. Let's get into the clips.
You know what I always say? Experiment with both and tell me what makes you feel better. And that is the truth when it comes to young women, because I dedicated my first episode to young women and really talking to them about these are the options that are being presented to you. Less. Take off more clothes, do the most to get attention, right? If you think that that's freedom, the idea that you have to wear less and the idea that you have to get naked to be heard, you really think that's a form of freedom? Because that's slavery, that's bondage. I didn't have to take off my clothes to be heard in society. And these women will realize that when you follow these people that are self-imposed feminists, I'm a feminist, I do this, I'm a feminist, you hear that word over and over and over again, you'll find that the majority of them are miserable. Look at their lives and ask yourself a question. Do you think they are happy? Do you feel good when you do what they do, right? When you're constantly looking for a dopamine hit from social media because you took your clothes off and you want somebody in your comments, a thirst trap with your ass out, right? And you want someone in your comments going, oh, slay bae, you slayed the day bae. Hashtag Tuesdays, am I right?
Yeah.
And you do the stuff for attention and you're devaluing yourself, and at the end of the day you don't actually feel good, and it's not going to bring you happiness, right? So yeah, you can get guys sliding in your DM, you can get guys telling you look good, you can get guys that want to sleep with you. How many of these people actually get guys that want to stay with you, right? Are not in somebody else's DM. The same way that you found him is the same way he's going to find somebody else, because we are increasingly becoming a part of a society that's ADHD. You want to know why our grandparents stayed together? Because they weren't looking at ass cheeks all day on Instagram and refreshing it and going, oh, well, that girl looks younger, that girl looks better, that girl's face tuned, and I think that is what these young women that they're following are telling them. You've got 13-year-olds getting lip injections, right? Because they want to look like Kylie Jenner. Again, not a shot to Kylie Jenner, but what society have we created that ever made Kylie Jenner feel like she had to go out and buy those lips, that she had to contour her entire face and change her entire body? She was already a beautiful little girl. So the society is ill. It's not normal, right? Don't let these people convince you that that's normal. That's cancer, and that cancer will become contagious to you if you accept that. You don't follow better role model.
Candace touched a very, very important point there about role models, and especially about how damaging bad role models can be. These days, it's suddenly become aspirational to be a baddie for young girls. It's somehow become empowering to get as naked as possible on the internet. And this is only pushed by terrible role models such as former stripper Cardi B and 42-year-old mother of 4 Kim Kardashian, who can't stop getting her bare ass out on the internet. And for whatever reason is met with rapturous applause for this, as if it's some sort of big wow moment. But this is where our culture's at, and young women will follow what they are told is aspirational. So they're out here looking for attention and likes, and here's my bum in Bali and here's my boobs in Dubai. And this short-term dopamine-seeking, attention-seeking behavior is not only accepted but being encouraged. And like Candace touched on there, encouraged by people who are happy? I don't think so. Misery loves company. This is not an agenda that's pushed by happy and fulfilled people. This is an agenda that's pushed by miserable people who want to drag others down with them.
It seems to me a lot of women, when they hear conservative values, the trigger to them, and I could be wrong, the trigger to them, it seems as, bondage, go back in the kitchen, shut up and just, just be a slave to your husband. Why do you feel like there's so much of when they're hearing about some of the things that you say, like what makes you happy is making your husband a sandwich, some people like that sounds crazy, right? So why do you think there's such a disgust, such a rejection of that kind of idea of that kind of woman in regards to modern society?
Because we're being brainwashed via the education system.
Okay.
You learn feminism in school, right? You learn feminism. I had to actively learn it.
And for clarification, how do you define feminism?
I can tell you how they define it and what it actually is, right?
Go
so
ahead.
Feminism in school, when you learn it, is you're just fighting against the patriarchy, and you're supposed to see the patriarchy everywhere. It's the same way that critical race theory and race is being taught. The idea is they're not actually teaching you anything but how to hate white people when you're learning about race in school. And when you are learning about feminism, they're not actually teaching you anything other than how to hate men and to see the patriarchy and men putting you down everywhere, right? So when you have that form of psychological conditioning taking place in the school system, you're producing women that see the patriarchy everywhere. It becomes like a paranoia, right? Oh my God, if asked me to make a sandwich, oh my God, can I make a sandwich? And then that's it, I'm trapped. And they're actually not realizing that there actually was an incentive behind you even being taught that. You've never actually lived the life of making a husband a sandwich, and they think that's going to send you back and suddenly you're going to lose your voting rights and you're not going to be able to go get work. There was a time when there was a need for feminism, first wave feminism, right? But first wave feminists would want nothing to do with third wave feminists, which is where we're at today, right? Women that think that actually first wave feminists, you could argue, envied men. Right? They wanted to be able to go to work. They wanted to have that option to be something outside of the home. Right? Now we have that option and we're being told the exact opposite, which is that if everything in the home is bad. And that's what you call throwing out the baby with the bathwater. There are some really amazing things. I think the best things that come from being at home.
Like you said, I think first wave feminism wanted women to have a choice. But then third wave, the choice is gone. You must choose what we want for you.
Exactly.
Right?
What we want is you need to be top 40 Forbes company, a corporation. If you don't have that, then you somehow failed. And I'm like, that is so backwards and so wrong. And it also goes against biology. It goes against biology. There's a reason, biological underpinning to everything that we have in this society. People keep trying to outthink biology. It doesn't work that way, right? There's a reason, women can carry children and men can't. So that instantly allows man to have different goals in terms of the workforce than women, because that means we have to make a decision. Do we have children? Or continue working in our career, or try to juggle both. Men don't have that same pressure, and it's not their fault. They didn't design this. Men weren't like, well, I have an idea. Let's not be able to carry children. Only let women be able to do that. And so there's the biological reality of that. And increasingly, you see women that go for it in terms of their career because they have the societal pressure, and then it's too late. And then they realize, wow, this job is not making me happy. But my gosh, can I just tell you as a new mom what you feel like when your son smiles at you? Like, when your baby looks up at you, there's no greater feeling of accomplishment. Like there is none. I have accomplished a lot in my life in terms of my career. And I can tell you there is nothing that satisfies me more than just my baby smiling at me. And we're taking that away from women because we're telling them that's the wrong aspirations to have in life.
It's so true that women are conditioned from a very young age with feminism, and this actually prevents them from having a healthy union with a man. And the reason why I love to talk about these topics on this channel is because I want to help the cause in any way possible of making it cool and aspirational again for women to have traditional values and for women to embrace their femininity. And actually, I get a lot of women in the comments and a lot of women that actually reach out to me and tell me how much they identify with my message and how much they just love being mothers and love being wives, and how they sometimes feel so disenfranchised with the feminist messaging in society. So I think we're making progress, and Candace Owens is leading the charge with this movement, in my opinion. She's a phenomenal role model for young women. And obviously she's an exceptional case, but she's also proof that you can still follow your dreams. You can still have a rewarding career and be very intelligent and confident whilst being a feminine woman with traditional values that's a devoted mother and wife.
Another thing that I've noticed going on in society is that there is a lot of cynicism towards men as well. And you've talked about it, as well on your show and on different platforms. And I've noticed that a lot of women, similar to like what the media does, it projects such a negative, cynical view of men in society, of men are going to take advantage of you, they're going to beat you, they're going to, get you pregnant and leave you. There's such a negative view of men. So for women who may have a negative view of men because of maybe personal experience, whether their father may have not been there or because of whatever society painted to them, how would you encourage them? How would you motivate them to not be as cynical and to be more optimistic when it comes to men?
I think it's a self-perpetuating problem, meaning that there are crappy men in the world, right? But men are crappy because we've created a system where manhood has become obsolete. You keep increasingly telling men more and more they can't matter. When I say, who are they being told that by? They're, like I said, there's more sinister implications here of why we're making manhood obsolete. When we're saying masculinity is wrong, this is backwards. You don't need a man. You can just have a baby without a man. You're starting to see that sort of programming happening with young women. When you're telling women to act like men, you should aspire to the things that men naturally might aspire to. When you remove the more natural feeling of men being providers and women being nurturers, which is a beautiful yin and yang that just works, right? So you're creating men to feel obsolete, and then women are complaining because men aren't being men. You know, it doesn't work that way, right? And not only that, then increasingly you're telling women to be the opposite of what I think men want, right? The opposite, maybe in the instant when men are not thinking with their big heads and they're saying, oh, whoa, she's half naked, great, I'm gonna go for it. That might be what a man wants, but long term, that's not what a man wants. A man doesn't want a girl that's just gonna be naked all the time and put herself out there available for every man to see. You know, that I don't have to be a man to know that that's not what men want. So then you say men suck, and I ask this question all the time. You complain about men, but are you being the type of a woman that a man would want, right? It's a self-perpetuating problem. And then you say that and they, oh my God, Candace is a horrible human being. And I'm looking at you going, I'm not a dude. I wouldn't date you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so again, self-perpetuating problem, not enough women calling out the fact that women are not desirable right now, in my opinion, right? They're sexually desirable, but I wouldn't want to take you home to mom desirable. And then you have men who are you know, being hit over the stick and being told, man, bad, masculinity bad, who need to be told, no, stand up, you know, tuck your shirt in, right? Be a leader, be what a man is supposed to be. And that dies when we're not even allowed to say man and woman anymore.
Another amazing point here, and something that's often neglected these days. In the age of social media, young women will often mistake attention with retention. Because they get so many likes and thirsty, simpy dudes just sliding into their DMs and double, triple messaging them all the time, they think that because getting men's attention is just so easy, that finding a long-term partner will be just as easy. So for that reason, the necessity isn't there to actually understand what men want. On the contrary, men need to understand what women want, because women, rightfully so, are much more sexually selective. I guarantee you that if women as a collective came out tomorrow and said, we find men who plant trees more attractive than anything, it would be a jungle out here in no time. We would be constantly surrounded by rainforest. So with that, if you go and tell men that you want a guy who's emotionally available and cries all the time and lets you do whatever you want and never questions you or tries to put you in your place and lets you wear the pants in the relationship, then you will get passive, dependent, male feminist betas who you're sexually repulsed by. But back to the point in terms of women not understanding what men actually want. And I think this is a particularly big problem in the West. However, if you are a young woman and you understand the code in the matrix, you are so far ahead of the competition it's not even funny. Let me give you a few examples of cheat codes. And I know that there's many different ways to skin a cat. All guys are into different things. But speaking in generalities, if you meet a man of value and a man that has self-respect, these are the things that he's going to look for. When he goes on your social media, if you're half naked all the time and advertising yourself to everyone, that is automatic red flag. He will want to have sex with you, but he will not want a relationship with you. However, if we go onto your Instagram and it's on private, you request to follow, and when you see the photos, they're very humble. They show that she has a great relationship with her family, a good network of friends, a good community around her, big smiles all the time. That is very, very attractive. And contrary to what some women might think, that actually signifies confidence and character. And that's the kind of girl that a self-respecting man would take seriously. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you would like access to uncensored, exclusive content and to join the Rattlesnake TV community and support the channel so that I can bring the best content possible to you as often as possible, then please consider hitting the link in the bio, rattlesnaketv.locals.com, and support the channel. And if you want to watch another clip, click right here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, if you get value from these videos, then click right here. Until next time, I'm Jake. This is Rattlesnake TV.